If you've been having any problems with your mortgage company, losing payments or making other mistakes, you may not be alone.
And tonight, News 8's Valerie Williams begins a series of reports about the potential abuses and errors homeowners face when dealing with their mortgage companies.
And she joins us now with more as News 8 investigates.
Well, you know, in Texas, a bank can legally foreclose on a homeowner in less than 2 months, writing only 3 letters, and without going to court. The state has some of the easiest foreclosure laws in the country. But most homeowners don't realize that until they run into problems, even if the mortgage company is the one that's made the error.
This property is at 1107 Bowie.
Sell the property at public auction to the highest bidder for
reinstatement of the loan.
They need a trust at 1022.93.
$20,000.
It's a 100-year-old tradition. The first Tuesday of every month, homes in foreclosure get auctioned off on the steps of county courthouses across Texas. Twice in the past 6 years, banks have threatened to foreclose on Jack Wright's house. In fact, even though Wright had a court order prohibiting the sale, one mortgage company tried to auction it off anyway.
I know what it's like when you've done nothing wrong and you're going to lose what a lot of people call the American dream. I don't share that. This isn't an American dream. This house is a nightmare.
Wright has an adjustable rate mortgage, which means his payments fluctuate as national interest rates go up and down. It's an extremely complicated formula. According to industry experts, 1/4 to 1/2 of all ARMs, as they're called, contain miscalculations or errors. In 1996, Wright's bank suddenly wanted to raise his loan payments more than $300 a month. He protested and asked for an audit. When they did the audit, what did they find?
That they owed me money.
And did you get that money back?
No.
Have you ever gotten that money back?
No.
The audit on Wright's loan took 101 days. During that time, he continued making his monthly mortgage payments. But records show the bank returned the checks and instead began sending notices that he was in default on the loan. How did they categorize you in default if you were paying your monthly mortgage?
Because the computer said that I was in default and nobody used any human intervention at all. So what the computer said had to be true.
While Wright was trying to straighten out the mess, his loan was assumed by another bank. During the past 6 years, Wright's loan has been sold or serviced by 5 different mortgage entities. Each one continued to pass along the same payment history.
I mean, our mortgage has been sold 5 times.
Dale and Terry Bolin of Austin say their loan problems began about 2 years ago when mortgage servicers changed addresses and didn't notify them. The they made didn't get credited to their account. Things snowballed, and soon the Bolins were also fighting threats of foreclosure. But they say every time they called the bank for the dollar amount to clear up the problem, the balance kept changing.
They would tell us how much money to send to straighten things out, and once we did it, that wasn't enough. By the time we sent the money to them and they took the payment out for their attorneys, we were already another month behind. And that's just kind of the way it kept going, you know. You never could catch up.
The Bolins and Jack Wright have different lenders, but both say they had to repeatedly ask for payment histories, which mortgage servicers are required by law to furnish in a timely manner. In each case, it took the companies at least 2 years to honor the request. And this is what the borrowers got. Computer printouts so difficult to comprehend that a CPA in Wright's case wrote a letter saying, the information is not in condition to be audited.
I think it's stunning. I mean, the abuses, there are hundreds of class action lawsuits against mortgage companies because of abuses. I think it's stunning that there's no governmental agency really monitoring this.
Dallas attorney Mark Stanley has sued mortgage servicers over questionable fees that seem to get deducted from borrowers' accounts once a loan has been singled out for default. In reviewing Wright's payment history, News 8 found that in just a 2-year period, from 1998 through 2000, he was billed for more than $12,000 in attorney's fees, nearly $2,800 for something called statutory expenses, and another $1,100 for miscellaneous foreclosure expenses. We discovered some charges were repeated on the same day. We asked officials with Bank of America and EMC Mortgage, who are currently involved in a lawsuit with Wright, to explain what these fees meant. Only EMC responded. And even then, the company's top lawyer had difficulty explaining why Wright had been charged a $5,200 corporate advance adjustment.
That's a charge that you put against Mr. Wright, correct?
That was what he had incurred against his account while it was with our predecessor.
But you don't know whether it's a valid charge or not?
We would have no reason to believe it wasn't a valid charge unless we were shown something differently.
Why would you take their word over Mr. Wright's word?
Well, that would presume that we've ever been told by Mr. Wright that this is an invalid number.
Our investigation also found that 1 month when EMC recorded Wright's payment as late, a date stamp shows it cashed his check 1 day before the deadline.
We've never said that EMC has never, ever made any errors on anybody's account. We have humans that work for us, and so people make mistakes. Not saying that or admitting that that's a mistake, but the people make mistakes. But we've been willing to work with him on a number of occasions, and yet have been unable to get him to come up with or come towards our numbers versus ours going down towards his.
I was financially comfortable when this started. It's not the case anymore. If they beat me and I go away, then what's to stop them from doing it to other people?
More than a week ago, EMC officials agreed to provide us with documentation that would prove Jack Wright had not made all of his payments. No such documentation has ever arrived. Today, Wright says he's broke. Without money, he's taken to representing himself in court. And last month, Wright lost his legal battle, and it may just be a matter of time before EMC takes his house. Now, if you're wondering why Wright and the Bolins didn't seek help from the government, well, they did. And tomorrow night, we'll talk about why they didn't get any help.